What attracted you to writing children's literature?
It was a complete accident, really. Before I started writing, I was working in children's theatre, and I was living up in Bristol. Once I'd had children, doing the touring, it just kind of became impossible. And it was then that I moved back down here to North Devon, because I've got family down here. And it was really just a complete sort of coincidence that my husband was away touring, because we had been doing the children's theatre together. So he was off on tour a lot, and I was at home with 2 small children. And I spent a lot of time kind of pottering around on the beaches and things. And neither of them were very good at sleeping. So I was both very kind of happy and contented, and also quite sleep deprived. So I think I was in that kind of state that you're in, when you're just kind of drifting off to sleep, and your mind's not quite dreaming, but it's not quite awake either. I think I was actually walking around in that state for kind of weeks and months at a time. And the first line for the first book just literally dropped into my head out of absolutely nowhere. But once I'd started writing, I found I just couldn't stop. But I particularly wanted to write for children, I guess, because I had small children at the time, and it was, it was part of wanting to sort of bring stories to them.
Do you ever see yourself making the transition to a different genre?
Oh, I might do. Who knows? I mean, when I started, I was writing work for kind of fairly young children, and then I did Apache, which is kind of young adult to adult as well. And I wasn't expecting to make that move, so who knows? Yeah, I mean, I feel it could go anywhere. It just depends what kind of ideas come in, I guess.
What was it like trying to fuse historical fact with fiction in your latest book, The Goldsmith's Daughter?
Oh, well, that was really challenging, because I decided I wanted to write about the Aztecs because I read an article that said that not many people had tackled the Aztecs, and I thought, well, it's the most fantastic period in history. I mean, you couldn't get anything more dramatic. And I started doing the research for it. Once I'd started doing the research and discovering how really genuinely disgusting quite a lot of those Aztec rituals were, I thought, I can see why other people haven't written about this. But it was a really interesting challenge because, of course, what I had to do is to find a humane, likeable character that was also an Aztec, and they had so many really horrible rituals to do with human sacrifice and the sacrifice of children, and I mean things that we would just absolutely wince about. So it was a challenge kind of finding the humanity in that society, and I became really quite intrigued by it all because they were very, very civilised, as well as having that kind of cruelty in the religious rites. The rest of the society was incredibly civilised. So that, yeah, I mean, I found it a challenge, but it was one I really enjoyed.
Going back to your theatre background, what has it been like seeing the growth and living the growth of the Storybox Theatre?
Well, that was great. I mean, I spent 5 years on the road with Storybox, and as well as performing, I was also sort of doing the administration and running the office and doing the marketing and writing the script. So I guess the writing actually started probably with Storybox. But that experience of being on stage and inhabiting a character has been really useful when it comes to writing. And I do find, I mean, I have to write when I'm completely alone in the house because I do find I sit there in front of the computer and I talk to myself a lot in order to get the voice right. When I wrote something called 100% Pig, it was written from the pig's point of view, and he was an Australian pig. So in order to get it right down on the page, I had to actually sit there and talk the lines as I was typing them. So it's the kind of thing you can only do when you're alone.
Do you think you'll ever turn your talents to acting full-time?
I'm not sure that I'd go back to it now I've discovered writing. I've done lots and lots of different jobs, but actually writing is the one that I really feel most fulfilled in at the moment. So I should imagine I'd stick with the writing, but then who knows? I never expected to be a writer, so who knows? I'll wait for the call from Hollywood.
Has living in Devon had any influence on your writing?
Oh, huge influence, yeah. I mean, I started writing because I was back down here in Devon. I think had I stayed in Bristol, I'm not sure that I would have started writing at all. I think it was very much a combination of being in a beautiful place and having sort of time available to me. And it was the place and the beach and that all fed so much into the Flotsam and Jetsam books. So North Devon's a huge, huge influence. And when you get stuck, it's wonderful, you know, for a writer being in such a wonderful place. Because if I get to a real log jam, I go for a walk and it, you know, it really solves the kind of writer's block sometimes. So no, Devon has got a lot to answer for when it comes to my writing.
What do you hope to have achieved in 10 years' time?
Oh, what a question. No, you know, when I was going around, when I was in my 20s and I used to go around for job interviews, people always used to say to me, now, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? And I always used to think, I can't answer that question because I really don't know. So I've got no idea. I haven't got a clue. Somewhere good, I hope.
Somewhere good. Well, I hope you enjoy your talk later, and I'm sure you'll be brilliant. Thank you for letting me interview you.
Thank you.